Welcome back. This is Karl Monahan. I am Karl Monahan. This is a Friday takeaway. These are short podcasts, reflections from clinic, reflections from my years as a clinician working with male pelvic pain, looking at some of the science, looking at some of the theory, looking at some of the philosophy, and looking today at patient journeys, patient experiences. This is a bit of patient wisdom. And I'm going to use an example from a young man I saw earlier this week, because when I learn from my patients, I learn how to better treat and support you. And I have opportunity every single day, every single week, every single month, every single year in working with male pelvic pain to better myself as a clinician and to help you more, to help you navigate this condition more successfully. So this episode is called Training to Failure, and it's going to be a series of podcasts, Friday Takeaway podcasts, on the theme of failure. And it's a bit of a play on words. All right, and we're going to look at what failure is. We're going to look at some theories behind what failure is. We're going to look at learning and failure. We are going to look at the types of failure and the causes of what might lead more likely to failure. Like I said, it's a play on words, so bear with me on this. So the question that arose in this first appointment with my patient earlier this week, so he is in his mid-20s. It was our first long session. It's a one-to-one session. And I always ask patients what they need from me. How can I help? Do they have any questions? Do they have any expectations? Because that allows me to structure the session, right? And to hear the patient. That's really, really important. Your needs are absolutely paramount, and giving you a platform to share your needs and to ask questions that you need help and support with should be at the center of every session that you have with a clinician. The difference when we work in the way that we do versus urology or GP is time. All right, simply put, I have time, I make time in my practice to allow patients to go through questions, to unpack and explore at a comfortable pace the things that they need help and guidance with. You don't get that in a 10-minute GP appointment here in the UK, or a 15-minute urology appointment if you're lucky. That's just simply not given. And that might be a failure on behalf of the patient in terms of not giving a patient the right amount of time, the right space in order to do so. How many times have you walked away from a GP or urology appointment and felt failed that you weren't listened to, failed that you weren't given the appropriate care or the appropriate treatment, or maybe you felt pressure or a sense of failure within yourself that you didn't get across what you were hoping to get across? It's really common, and it's okay. You're not a failure. It's just a really challenging situation where you're not given the time, probably not really fully seen for what you are truly going through either. Like I said, there's going to be a good exploration, a healthy exploration of what we might classify as failure in itself. So the conversation that I was having with this patient and giving him license to ask me any questions was, one of the questions was, is exercise affecting my ability to heal? That was one question. One other question, and they often intertwine these questions, they're all leading in the same space. What can I do to manage my symptoms? Great question. Brilliant question. Really important, really insightful for someone to ask. It's unique and individual to every single one of you, but there are going to be common themes that we can explore here today. And it's quite a brave question to ask. What can I do to manage my symptoms? Because it means I'm not managing my symptoms in the way that I want to, and that's why I'm asking for help. So well done for asking for help in the first place. You're not a failure. for asking for help? Okay. And is exercise affecting my ability to heal? That means that someone is perhaps uncomfortably, but honestly looking at the things they do in their life and going, I just don't know. But I don't want my symptoms. So I'm going to cross a threshold of comfort and ask a question that may result in me having to change my habits and my behaviors to help. Okay. Now that might feel very sensible. It might feel like the right thing to do, but we don't know what the outcome of that might be. We don't know what we might be asked to change or how we might be asked to change it. And for every patient, I consider you as an individual. So I won't just give a stock answer. You should stop doing this, this, and this, and this. And everyone should stop doing those things. Personally, that's not centered care. It's not focusing on you and your needs and your situation. It's a whitewash. I can think of lots of other words, not very kind words, that would explain that approach. The avoidance model, it has its place, but it's not personalized and not individual. Not when it's given as, you should just stop caffeine, spicy food, alcohol, riding a bike, exercise, having sex, living a life. I'm being flippant, so bear with me. So, is exercise affecting my ability to heal? Well, I said we need to explore the way you are exercising first of all. So tell me what you're doing. Well, I have done boxing in the past, but I can't go to a boxing gym at the moment because there's nowhere I can hide in the boxing gym. You can't cry off with an excuse of it's just too much or I need to tap out for a little bit. The atmosphere, no, that's not quite right. The mindset in a boxing gym is it's going to hurt, right? And you train and it's going to hurt. So with someone who's going through this condition, maybe boxing isn't right for you, or maybe it is absolutely right for you and you're ready to return to that. But to begin with, let's look at calming things down. Only when you've calmed things down successfully for a good length of time should we even consider stepping into an arena, a space that is going to be challenging and hard work for us. Okay, so boxing. I've done football in the past, but every time I go back and play football, this is the patient's answer. Every time I go back and play football, I get an increase in my symptoms. Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. But I am going to the gym. Okay, fantastic. So is this the exercise that you're answering the question around? You're asking the question around. Is this the question that you are asking around the exercise you're doing in the gym right now? Does that make sense? Okay, so this patient is training in the gym and he's asking the question, is my gym training too much for me? Is it affecting my ability to heal? So it's not what we're doing, it's the way that we're doing it. All right, so we might all go to the gym and train differently. That's probably going to happen. And some of the ways that we train is going to be helpful for us. Some of the ways that we train won't make a difference, and some of the ways that we train will probably be detrimental. All right, so listen to the messages that are going to come across in today's session. So I said to him, who are you training? Do you train by yourself? Do you train with other people? I train with my two brothers, one older, one younger brother. Brilliant. Love that. Well done for exercising in a social setting with people that you can trust and that you look forward to. He's very close to his brothers. Okay, and tell me about how you're training. Are you training for pleasure or are you training to failure? All right, when you train to failure, it means that you train and let's take a bench press. All right, you are doing the bench press, you're pushing the weights away from you to the point where you cannot do it anymore, where you're failing at being able to press the weights away from you. Your arms have gone wobbly, you've lost all your strength, you've lost your neuromuscular control because you've fatigued your system. That is training to failure. And he said, yeah, that's what I do with my brothers. And I said, okay, thank you very much for your honesty and openness. I said, we would benefit from not training to failure. And I said, what needs to happen for that to happen itself? What needs to happen so as you're not training to failure? I said, do you need to have a chat with your brothers? And I could see the look on his face it was pretty uncomfortable. Understandably, he was getting quite emotional. His brothers don't know what he's going through. His mum does, his brothers do not. And he's had the condition on and off for 3 years now, and it's gotten worse in about the last year. And he asked an honest, open question. And when we ask honest, open questions, we have to expect an honest, open answer as well. And I said, it would really help you and your condition, if you want to manage this wisely, to have that conversation with your brothers. And understandably, this was a very emotional pinch point for him, and he broke down in tears. And I see this a lot. And I gave him some space, and I congratulated him for showing the emotion, and it's okay. And it took a while for him to calm and settle, which is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. That is not a failure. All right, demonstrating and showing emotion is not a failure. As men, hand up here, as men, we are pretty shit at it. All right, but when we can express it, and we can show emotion, we are not failures. Fuck me, society. If that's the way that society is telling you that you are, it's such a bad message. You are not a failure. Vulnerability is strength. Being vulnerable with ourselves, being open with those around us, and letting others in is really, really important, and it shows an inner strength. Is it easy? God, no. Absolutely not. And this young man, in his 20s, mid-20s, I said, would you like to know, I said to him, would you like to know if your brothers were going through something and you could help them? And again, that brought on a bit more emotion. And he eventually said, yes, if my brothers were going through something, I would like to know so I could be there for him. So I said, it's the same thing for your brothers, mate. Okay, they love you, they care for you, they want to be there for you, they want to support and help and guide you. And if you can do this, if you can manage your training so you're not training to failure, then in time, your reward is that you can start to lean back into that activity. And you can start to train a little bit harder. But for the moment, training to failure is probably increasing the sensitivity in your system and more likely leading to things not moving forwards in the way that you want them to. And he was training to failure with his brothers 3 or 4 times a week, depending on the week. So there were several times during the week, and he was doing it in the week. There were 2 days he did it back to back. So 2 days that he would be training to failure back to back. And that means that your system, if you're training to failure, if you're pushing your body to failure where it can't do the thing that it wants to, that you're trying to get it to do, it means it's run out of resources. And when you're looking to overcome this condition, doing anything to failure where you cannot stand, where you cannot push, where you cannot pull anymore is too much. And it's putting too much strain and effort on your system, which is already depleted because you're already dealing with this condition. So training to failure is not helpful. It's not a failure, but we can look at that more mindfully and more wisely. As a takeaway, this guy is going to go and chat with his brothers and open up to them. So it's an invitation for him to be open with others around him, to get a little bit more support, to probably get a bit of a ribbing in the nicest, loveliest possible way from his brothers, but to get that ultimate support. Vulnerability is a strength, it's not a weakness. You are not a failure by opening up and telling others what is going on for you. It brings more opportunity, it brings connection, okay, and it might well bring about huge change in your recovery as well. Take a look at 70% effort. Take a look at the rule of 70% effort in training, in business, in life. It's not something I have made up. I'm not that clever, but it's a sustainable benefit in training, in exercise, in sports, in life, in output, in energy expenditure. The 70% rule is golden and something you should all consider as a management strategy for living successfully, more successfully with this condition and helping to overcome it. And if you can do that for a period of time, I've spoken beforehand about 100-day rule, doing something for 100 days, working at 70% effort, then you're more likely to build more resilience. Your reward for this effort is that you can in time lean into activity and gradually increase the resistance and start to increase reps and sets again if you're doing bench presses or something similar. Vulnerability is strength, it's not a weakness. You are not a failure for expressing how you're feeling to others. All right, this is the first of a series of podcasts I'm going to be doing around the term failure. What it is, what it isn't, how it can lead to change and adaptation and benefits and improvements and success for you. Training, this was training to failure.